Hello and welcome to episode 47 of the Spotlight Games podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Saints Row. Is it a mess? Is it a blast? You'll have to wait and find out. We're going to talk about The Last of Us because it got its first teaser from HBO. Knights of the Old Republic is maybe alive again. And we're going to give you the recap of today's biggest announcements from Gamescom Opening Night Live. Joining me today is my sweet dumpster boy, Kamen Darty. Kamen, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Patrick. You know what? No, I'm not doing great. I'm feeling spicy today.
Ooh, oh no. You know what that means, folks. If Kamen's feeling spicy, might get a little loud later.
I think it might. Just
Kamen, how was your weekend?
My weekend's good. I spent it with you, actually. You and your wonderful wife.
You're damn right you did.
Spending the week. Well, I spent Saturday with you guys to celebrate Rose's birthday, as well as our friend Tony. And a great time. And then Sunday, I went and then worked literally all day Sunday on both the other podcasts that we run, as well as building a wedding arbor for my upcoming nuptials. So
we run another podcast, Kamen?
We do.
I guess we're going to talk about that in a few, aren't we?
I suppose we will.
When are you getting married? Can we it's like every week I'm getting married. Like fucking
I know it's gonna end soon. I'm getting married October 8th.
What's the exact address for everyone that wants to show up randomly?
Honestly, if I knew, I'd tell you, but I'd have to look that
up. Well, why don't we jump into some housekeeping so we can get into the show? We have a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we're going to spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in live as we record Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Eastern Time, like we are right now. It's 8:03 Eastern Time on twitch.tv/SpotlightGamesPod. Or you can get it in your podcast feed and on YouTube to Thursdays at 8 p.m. No, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. 8 p.m. Tuesdays, 8 a.m. Thursdays. Follow us on Twitch so that you are notified when we're going live so you can be part of the conversation. We have a new episode of STC out, and it is something, folks.
Oh my gosh.
I've only listened to about 10 minutes so far of this week's episode Kamen, but it is it's scary. It's I don't feel safe, but I'm laughing a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of laughs going on.
Yeah.
And what's better than some laughs? Listen to your buds on a podcast.
I'm still fighting the hangover from that episode.
I'm not surprised. And that was like what, a week and a half ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Hey, it happens. Dollman versus Demonic Toys, the crossover event that we've all been waiting for.
Or no one was waiting for.
Or no one was waiting for. Just depends on who you ask, really. So yeah, podcast services, give it a follow, give it a subscribe so you can get the newest episode of Save Trash Cinema. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. Why don't we jump in? We got a, I feel like we always got a packed show, but we got an especially packed show today. So why don't we start with what we're playing? I'm going to start us off, Kamen. Last week, I gave my review of Cult of the Lamb. I said, as of last week, it was my current game of the year. After a few short days with it, I have since rolled credits. I have finished the main, you might call it a campaign of this game. And Kamen, I come today with unfortunate news.
Yeah.
This game is broke as fuck on Nintendo Switch. Last week, I was like, I'm having some bugs. I'm having some like pop-in issues with like the floors and things like that. From the time of recording last Tuesday to when I finished this game on Sunday, I am not exaggerating when I tell you I probably had to restart this game upwards of 40 times.
Good God.
Whether it was forced like crashes, I probably had a dozen to 15 just game crashes. I probably had a dozen to 15 just like freezes, whether it's the entire game froze, whether it would get stuck on an animation. I sent you a little video of this one where I'm in a dungeon, I'm fighting this like mini boss, and I like finish the final wave of the mini boss, and So like it's done, but this creature in the corner is just like stuck in this animation of like dying, and so it just like you can't leave rooms until everyone's dead. And so I'm just like stuck in this room. I've been doing this run for like 25 minutes, and now it's done. So many times the game would freeze on me in an animation like well into a run. When I beat it on Sunday, like the last like 4 hours, I had a pretty good like run of it. I had been getting so frustrated with how many bugs I was encountering, but I was like, you know what? I finished it. I want to spend a little bit longer with the village. I want to go on another run, and there's some like decorations I haven't been able to build yet because there's like a specific resource I don't have enough of. So I go on this run because I need to get some crystals. 5 minutes in, game crashes. I'm like, fuck this. I'm done. I'm out. I'm waiting because there still hasn't been an update. Every time I would play, I would like every now and then I would go to the Switch menu, check for an update. I was like, still no update. I'm hoping that on Switch it's fixed soon, but I will say I've been talking to a few people that have been playing it elsewhere, and it seems like the PC version isn't bug free, but like is seemingly bug free. PlayStation version, there seems to be like some bugs. I've heard it hampering some people's experiences, but on Switch, I haven't talked to another person that's played the Switch version specifically, but I like can't in good conscience recommend you play the Switch version right now because, and I'm so disappointed because I love this game so much.
Yeah.
And like it might still end up being my game of the year, but right now, like I couldn't say that it's the best game of the year from what I played because the last 10 hours I played of it, 8 of them I was fighting with the game to even fucking work.
Yeah.
So
that's tough.
That's my update on Cult of the Lamb. And like I think it's such a special game. So if you have the ability to play it on something other than Switch, I would say do that or wait until it's fixed because I'll quickly say I played the Trial of Roller Drome.
How was that?
A little frustrating because PlayStation Plus is like you can get 1 hour game trials, and it gave me 30 minutes.
The fuck?
35 minutes. I'll be honest. I won't downplay it a little bit. But yeah, I open it up. It's like you have 35 minutes. So I go to Google. I'm like, wait, did I like somehow start this game already? And I just like had a fever dream. And then there's like articles where like apparently the 1 hour is just an estimation, and the developers can choose like exactly how long. And so apparently 35 minutes is enough to like do the tutorial and like a little bit of the game, which is true. But I'm like in the middle of like a level, I'm like, and it just cuts me off. I can't play anymore. I'm like, well, shit. I had an hour. I thought I would have an hour, but it is fun. I think it's a game you would fuck with. It honestly feels Tony Hawk if Tony Hawk was a shooter. Like, honestly, something that I really like about it is that it is very forgiving on the skating tricks part. Like there was never a point in which I crashed. So it's much more arcadey than Tony Hawk in that even if like it's my head that is about to hit the floor, somehow it saves you because really it's a game about like killing these enemies and like, but it feels good. It's fun. I don't know that it's a game that I'm going to buy. I'll probably wait to see if it's free on PlayStation Plus sometime soon. But if you like the like arcadey, if the idea of Tony Hawk as a shooter sounds awesome to you, then you're probably gonna love it. I just don't think it's the vibe that I'm feeling.
That makes sense.
And then I also played Wave Race on Switch because that's on the newest. It's the newest N64 game out, and I forgot how fun Wave Race is. So not a lot to report there. It's Wave Race. But Kamen, I want to know, what have you been playing?
Well, Patrick, I've been playing a new game.
Oh,
that just released, and let's just put it this way: the reviews aren't great.
Okay.
So speaking of reviews, Patrick, why don't you go ahead and give us a couple, and then I'll give my own preview review of
I sure
the
will.
game itself.
I sure will, Kamen. I'm going to pull first from IGN, where they got a 6 out of 10. They being Saints Row. Tristan Ogilvy says, for a game that gives us so much freedom to be exactly who we want to be via its superb customization options, it's odd that Saints Row itself struggles to forge its own identity when it comes to the types of wanton criminal activities it makes available to us. There's definitely no shortage of shallow shoot-'em-up thrills to be had here, but it's a very familiar and uninspired brand of sandbox fun that's unlikely to wow anybody who's played a Saints Row game before, much less a Grand Theft Auto. There are a few spectacular story moments, and the city of Santo Ileso serves as a sprawling new playground full of surprisingly antiquated and non-interactive amusements, but the distinct lack of new gameplay ideas and the frequency with which some of its least interesting ones are reused means this Saints Row feels more like a repetitive retread than a proper reboot. It's definitely a new gang of saints, but they're guilty of the same old sins. And then Sam Matchkovich from Ars Technica, his verdict was avoid this game. They don't do numbers at Ars Technica, but I pulled this one because I think this one is maybe the most scathing one that I read, and it just was really interesting. He wrote, previews suggested that this week's new series reboot, simply titled Saints Row, might wipe the slate clean to provide a fresh perspective on the crime spree genre. Instead, this game simply wipes the slate clean and leaves it that way. Saints Row 2022 is the rare open world game that makes an average Ubisoft open world game of the past 5 years seem refreshing by comparison. Describing this game as a regression to the Xbox 360 era would be an insult to the late 2000s best open world adventures. This is the 2022 video game equivalent of The Room or Showgirls, a spectacle to be experienced with a group and not for the reasons its creators intended. So, Kamen, is this the game you've been playing?
I don't know what game these people have played. Like, I genuinely have no fucking idea what game these people have been playing.
Really? So you're saying this game rules?
I'm not going to say the game rules. Like, there's definitely issues, and you can definitely be like, okay, yeah, this isn't like this some new thing. And like, did anyone really expect it to be? But then the question is that what everyone expected was like, oh, this new Saints Row game is going to redefine the genre? No, it fucking wasn't. We all knew it wasn't going to fucking redefine the genre. I don't know what the fuck these people are on. PCP, LSD, crack cocaine, what drug it is, they need to get the fuck off it. The game is surprisingly fun.
How many hours in are you?
About 7 or 8 at this point.
Okay.
And like the game's fun.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here. I've watched all these reviews. I've read all these reviews, and they are just blistering.
Yeah, they are some of the worst reviews I've ever read.
Then you juxtapose these reviews against like some of the bullshit toxic fanboy crap that we were getting before. And it just feels like this game is stuck between a rock and a hard place, because on one hand, you get a bunch of reviewers who are like, this game doesn't feel like Saints Row. And it's like, okay, which Saints Row game? Because there's 5 before this.
Sure.
Saints Row 1 was literally a GTA clone, like to a fucking T. Saints Row 2 and the reboot are very similar in how they handle their shit. There's a lot of really goofy things happening, but it's more nuanced and it's more pulled back in.
Okay.
Whereas Saints Row 3, 4, and Gat Out of Hell, we're just like, fuck it. We are just going off rails. And that was the downfall of Saints Row. That's why we got a reboot, was because they went so far off rails that there was like no identity to what the game was anymore, because every game was like, oh, we're just going to be more outlandish. Oh no, now you're a superhero. Oh no, now you're in hell. And it's like, okay, those are fun.
Yeah.
But like, this game feels more pulled together. Now, with that being said, sure, I can definitely see where some people could be like, oh, the gameplay is unimaginative, or by the time you've killed by the time you've killed your 15th horde of goons, then you've pretty much killed all of the horde of goons that you've got. And I'm like, okay, but did you guys play Elden Ring? Because it's the same fucking shit. And I'm really fucking sick and tired of this crap where every single game that comes out has to be this like genre defining experience. Like, we need to get off our fucking high horses, Patrick. Like, I'm
I mean,
sorry. We
I don't
need
know
to
that
take.
I'm on a high horse, but
Well,
I
no,
hear
I
you.
know. What I'm saying is like we need to really take a step back.
Sure.
And now, like, does this game feel like a AAA game? No. But I can tell you right now, I've had more fun in the last 8 hours playing this than I've probably had in any Ubisoft game in the last 10 years.
10 years.
Okay, well, Origins. I really had fun with Origins. But the
Okay.
thing is, like, that whole bullshit where it's like, this makes Ubisoft games seem refreshing. Like, no, it fucking doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't. Like, shut the fuck up.
Do you
I'm
think
angry.
Sure, I can feel it, I can hear it, I can sense it. I'm curious, do you think because I only came across like maybe 1.5 like genuinely positive reviews on this game. Uh and there has been a very consistent through line. And you know, if you're on Twitter and you follow the games sphere, if you're on gaming Twitter, you've seen all sorts of videos about the bugs in this game.
Oh, yeah.
The
Okay.
consistent
I want
kind
to
of
address that
yeah,
too.
so the consistent idea is that like this game for a lot of people has just been busted. Like there was one Dan Riker, he's with Giant Bomb now, was like, I can't have a review for you because 12 hours in, my game broke. I couldn't jump, I couldn't run, I couldn't like use items, and the Saints Row folks wouldn't like give me like an updated fix. So I just can't review this game for you. So how has the performance been for you?
I had to restart a checkpoint one time.
That's it.
That's it.
And did you, when you, I'm assuming you had a day one patch.
I mean, I'm assuming so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another thing too, where it's like, if, like, I get, like, I understand coming off the heels of Cyberpunk, we have to be a lot more careful and cautious about how we grade things on a scale, because it's like, oh, hey, on PC, Cyberpunk worked and there were bugs and shit, but like it worked for intended purposes. But if you had a last gen console, the game did not work at all.
Yeah.
Period. It was just broken from the moment you put the game in, and it never got fixed. But I'm playing on PlayStation 5. I literally had to restart one checkpoint in probably about 2 hours in on like a random side mission. And that was it. That's the only bug I've had so far. And like, I'm just having fun. I'm having fun exploring the world. There's a lot of really weird collectibles and random shit to find. And I like went I went on a stretch of like 30 minutes where I just drove around and dumpster dove. And like, I got this cool pizza box that I can wear as a hat.
You
like,
are a dumpster boy.
So I'm like, you know, I get where some complaints could be coming from, but also at the same time, like a lot of these complaints are like, this doesn't feel like Saints Row. Like I played Saints Row 4 a few months ago. Just like I had it in my library and I wanted an open world game that was just stupid.
Yeah.
That's all I played it. And I was like, this game cannot release today. Like the humor is so outdated.
Yeah.
Like we can't have that again. And
Sure,
it worked when it was released. But the same thing with Bulletstorm. Like that humor we cannot have again in another game.
Yeah.
It's very immature. And I'm not saying that this game is like very funny and clever, but there was a lot of jokes that really landed. And there was like I did a couple side missions earlier where like I like had to help out one of my crew. And the whole plot is that we had to go to like McDonald's, like the in-game McDonald's, so that he could get a Happy Meal toy that just got re-released because he was in an orphanage growing up and never got Happy Meal toys and he missed it. And like, that's something he really wanted. At the end of the mission, after you finish it, he's like, hey, can we swing by like later and like drop off these extra Happy Meal toys to the kids in the orphanage because they won't have these either. Yeah. And there's like little moments like that like come through. A lot of the humor, though, is just like little things in the world that are really funny. Like you go to like these historical sites and you have to like, and it's dumb. You just gotta like walk around and find little historical markers in the site that tells you like the history of this area. And I was like in tears laughing at one point because it was like all about a fucking go-kart track. And like about like these Uber tech mogul like built this go-kart track to create militarized go-karts was really funny. And then when I finished it, I ended up getting like a militarized go-kart. And then I've seen other reviews where they're like, oh, well, in the old Saints Row games, you could get really stupid weapons. Like, yeah, they just don't fucking give them to you right off the bat. How much did you play of this game? And so I've got a lot of questions. Sure. And sure, I don't think this game is going to hit for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be someone who's content with, like, you just enjoy, like, kind of dumb shit. You like the shooting mechanics and the driving mechanics feel much better than Grand Theft Auto to me. So that, like, me having to go from point A to point B and just kill a bunch of people, that's fine because I'm enjoying that aspect of the game. And I don't know, man. I've walked away from my time with it, looking at all these reviews and just being like, what? We're like just drastically more critical for some reason, or it's just that they all played a broken game and then
Which could
reviewed
be
it
the case.
horribly, which brings me back to the original point that I've had like several times through the course of this podcast, which is there needs to be a second review for games that have bugs,
Sure.
like launch issues,
Yeah.
because you're coming in telling people like, do not play this game ever. Throw it in the garbage, set your garbage on fire, burn your house down, kill yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Before you touch this game.
I think that was the GameSpot review said.
And then it's like, then you turn around. That was a skill up review. Then you turn around like today, and it's like, my game is not broken.
Yeah.
It is not buggy. I've had no issues. But like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Fuck it. No, we're not going to help anyone get any sales because we don't give a flying shit because we're better than this. Also, I do think that there's a part of it where games journalists are just so much more hung up on the fact that like people don't take them serious as game journalists. So they have to try really fucking hard to try to be way more like, oh, we have to only love certain things and we have to be way more special. But then like you look at a fucking like NPR's review of this game and they're like, yeah, this is fun. It's dumb, but it's fun as hell. You should play it. And you're like, okay, if NPR can do this, but then you look at Kind of Funny and they're like, literally pull your own asshole out and then choke yourself to death. Like, no, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm done. My review is over.
I mean, do you think that this is kind of on the developers though for giving game reviewers a broken copy? Because like the bugs that have been online, like I don't think that they're exaggerating how broken this game was based on the bugs that I've been seeing.
Sure. I totally understand that. So sure, it might be on the developer's issue that you run into that, but at the same time too, it's also like your experience is very different the 24 hours before everyone else's experience. But guess what? That doesn't matter because the 24 hours later, the amount of people who are going to get the game now will never play this game.
Sure.
And it will go out to an island and it will die. And whose fault is that? It's not mine. I'm telling you right now, it's not mine.
I will say,
I'm the one being like, hey, we need to take a step back, take a deep breath before you publish a fucking article. Sure. That's like, everything's on fire, everything sucks. Don't touch this, and all the developers need to never work in the games again. Like, cool, okay, if that's the where you want to be, then fine. Sure. But that's not a hill I'm gonna die on.
Yeah, I will say something specifically from the Kind of Funny review that I thought was interesting from Janet's perspective. She was like, there is a world in which this game in a few weeks or after the day one patch runs just fine. But like today with the game I played, I couldn't recommend this to somebody. So she was basically like, wait and see, essentially. And I think more people need to do that. I think more like when the game is being reviewed and it's broken, I feel like it should be a review in progress and say, we can't actually review this game and give it a number until it is working as intended. Like, sure, for a game like Cyberpunk, that review would have been in progress for about 15 months. But because then, if I'm going into a GameStop in 2 years and I was like, oh yeah, Saints Row, I played that when I was a kid. Let's check out this new one. I'm going to go online now and I'm going to see 6, 5, 6, 3.5, 5, like 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm not going to play it.
Yeah. So
and there's one last thing I want to point out. And this is something I think is very important that has been pretty much completely ignored by everyone. This game has the most accessibility options I've ever seen in a video game.
Really? More than Last of Us 2?
Oh, you can literally go in and fine tune the difficulty. So it's like, yeah, I can't with timers, like timer missions. I can't do this. You can just go in and adjust to be like, yeah, my timer's longer, my timer's shorter. Like that's how much you can fine tune just the difficulty. The accessibility options though are outrageous.
Cool.
Like absolutely one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And the soundtrack for the game, which is honestly when you're playing an open world game, like that's a big part.
Huge part.
It rivals that of probably like Vice City for me.
Wow.
Like it's just full of like really good. They have an entire channel dedicated that's like 25 songs of nothing but like dark synth pop. And when you're driving through, because it's like Las Vegas is like what the city's like.
Okay.
So you got all these neon lights flashing and all this shit's going around, and you're just flying through the interstate, weaving through cars, like taking out cop cars, taking out civilians, blowing shit up, and you just got like boom, 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 like this like 80s synth pop. It's just incredible. It's like it feels good. Just I'm sorry. I know like getting frustrated, but
no
I guess
apologies.
what's getting me right now is that like I'm just angry and annoyed by like how much of like a pedestal it feels like all of these reviews are on. And it's just punching down repeatedly.
Sure.
And then you've got the other side, the toxic fanboys who are like, I won't play this game because it's gone woke. There's females in this game.
Right.
I can play as a trans character. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
That can't happen in my world. And everyone's just punching down. And for me, that's very frustrating. And I think this is probably the most angry I've been with a game release in a long time.
But not
probably
for
since Cyberpunk.
But not for the reason you might think.
No. Which is crazy because like I played Far Cry 6 and just absolutely last. Keith would be a little bitch about it.
Okay? Yeah, Bennett from the chat, friend of the show, says, "What would Keith say about Far Cry about Saints Row?"
Keith would probably be like, "Well, what can you put it in genre form?" Like, yeah, just get out, Keith.
And then, so my follow-up question to that is, looking at all the reviews and how you're one of the only positive voices I've heard, do you think this game was actually only made for people that have a trash cinema podcast?
Maybe so. Honestly, maybe so. I do think like that. I think if I'm gonna like levy any sort of like significant complaint at this point would be like this game probably shouldn't have been $60.
Okay.
If this game was like $50 or $40, like I think that would be a little bit better because it feels very much like a AA game.
Yeah.
And that's for better or worse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I will say though, like hearing that, it definitely was marketed as a huge AAA Grand Theft Auto like game. So that in a way is like not necessarily delivering what they were promising, but I haven't played it, so it's not fair for me to judge that. Because
I have heard like some reviews of people who have been like very critical of the game have also been like, but if you play it in co-op, it's a lot of fun. And it's like, I'm having fun solo, but sure. I would love to try it out in co-op. If anyone in the audience, if you get yourself a copy after hearing me scream about it, and you want to play, like hit me up. Gladly jump into a game with you and give it a shot.
To close out this segment, friend of the show, John wants to know, when do you think we're going to get a Velocipaster game, Kamen?
I think there's a world in which we could. But I think that's going to probably be more of like an indie game. Like it's going to be a very low budget.
Okay.
But I think that also makes sense too.
Well, I'm interested to play this game just to see where I land, whether I'm on your side or the wrong side, Kamen. But I think something that my guess as of today is that we will all be on the same page that The Last of Us coming from HBO looks fucking so good. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
So for our video listeners, we got a little B-roll going. We got our first teaser for The Last of Us show, and oh boy, it looks so good. So we get a little rundown of the trailer, Kamen. Ooh, there's a dragon. Surprise.
I know that. That's my favorite twist.
I know, right? A little rundown of the trailer. So this is pulling from Adam Bankers at IGN. HBO has revealed the first teaser for the upcoming TV series adaptation of The Last of Us, and it features Pedro Pascal's Joel, Bella Ramsey's Ellie, and more. Alongside The Last of Us, you can see footage from the... Oh, no, I should have cut that. Alongside Joel and Ellie, the short tease also gives us a glimpse at Joel's daughter, Sarah, Bill, played by Nick Offerman, Sarah, played by Nico Parker, a clicker stuck in a wall, or the remnants of one, and potentially Frank, played by Murray Bartlett. The tease begins in winter. We get glimpses of other scenes, including a heartbreaking one from the beginning of the game that we won't spoil, a bit of Joel training Ellie to use a gun, and more. It's over quickly, but it gives us a great idea as to the tone that they're setting with this series. We don't have an official release date, but they did say it's an HBO original, so not an HBO Max original, which is a good sign with all the news that's been happening with HBO Max, and that it is coming next year. So Kamen, based on that, like 30 seconds we got, where's your head at? Walk me through what Kamen thinks of The Last of Us by HBO.
I think this is going to be a really weird thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
What didn't throw me off, but what I guess caught me off guard a little bit was Pedro Pascal's voice. Sounds almost exactly like Joel.
Yeah.
Like, it is wild how close his voice sounded. When I heard it, I was like, well, I like had a second where I was like, no, hold on, sorry, that's Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's he's got range as an actor, but I was like just shocked. And I mean, look, the game, I'm excited about it. I would think we all are. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, this is one of those where it's just like, cool. Like, I'm ready for it when you guys are.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and release it.
Yeah, I was sitting down. No, sorry, go ahead.
I think the other thing too, though, is that they've also really kind of put a heavy emphasis that this is going to be like a new HBO flagship title.
Yeah, right.
That's
the way that
also
they
where it's like
it in that trailer.
So it's not like, and with everything going on with WB right now, which we can go on an absolute tangent with that, but like that is very interesting to me that it does seem like they have a lot of stock put in this to be like this series is going to go for a while. So I'm curious as to like where the first season ends. Because it feels like The Last of Us, the games in particular, are very much part 1, part 2, and it is an insular series. That's it. So I'm very curious to see what they end up doing with that. But yeah, no, I'm super hyped for it. The teaser looked incredible. The dragon was a really interesting twist.
Yeah, what
Wasn't
a twist
in the game, but like cool. But no, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I remember there was a report previously that said the first season will tell the story of the original game, but it's going to deviate greatly from what came before, which I don't really know what that means. That's from the IGN article. But they said that they're going to be like telling other stories. So what I hope happens is that the first season isn't the entirety of the first game, that we get to a point that makes sense. And then, because yeah, I'd like, as long as the quality is there, which it looks like it will be, I'd like for them to expand this out a little bit. I don't want them to go too long. I want this to be like a 7-season thing. Yeah, I mean, I probably do, but I don't. But yeah, and like to your point, in that trailer, it was like a 2.5-minute trailer. It was showing like all their new stuff coming out. And there's a point in the trailer where like it fades to black for like a solid 3 seconds and then gives what at that point had been the longest look at like one singular thing. So it definitely feels like they are giving it the true, like this is a next big HBO show, which fills my heart with a lot of joy because that's what I was hoping they would do with this. So yeah, let us know what you think. I know we have some Last of Us fans in the audience as well, in our listenership. So let us know what you think about the old Last of Us show. There's another potential, I'm going to only say potential, good story here came in. This is from Bloomberg, Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. Apparently, the Knights of the Old Republic remake that we reported on a few weeks ago, having been put on pause, delayed indefinitely was the words that we used, that they used. It's now been given to a new developer by Embracer Group. So, like I said, pulling from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, he writes, the highly anticipated remake of the video game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic has a new developer after a bumpy ride. The project, formerly in development at Austin, Texas-based Aspire Media, is now being led by one of Saber Interactive's Eastern European studios, according to a person familiar with the change. Both developers are owned by the Swedish company Embracer Group AB. The transition shuts down any lingering hope within Aspyr that it may be able to continue leading the project. Bosses at the studio, which had been developing the remake for more than 2 years, told staff last month that the game was, quote, on pause as the company tried to figure out what to do next. The message left open the possibility that Aspyr could one day reclaim a leadership role, but rumors quickly swirled around employees that Saber was taking over. Last Thursday, Embracer said in a financial report that one of the big titles had switched developers, but it did not identify the game. Quote, one of the group's AAA projects has transitioned to another studio within the group, the company wrote. This was done to ensure the quality bar is where we need it to be for the title. Remakes have been common in recent years, but it's rare for a game to switch companies in the middle of development. Doing so almost always leads to major delays. The new developer must learn how to adapt to unfamiliar code and in most cases will revamp or at least modify previous decisions made for the project. Interestingly, Embracer said it is not, quote, expecting any material delays due to the transition, but the game announced during a PlayStation event last year does not have a public release date and will likely take at least 2 more years to finish, people with development said. And then it's worth noting, to take it back a couple stories, because Embracer Group also owns the company who published or who developed Saints Row, that Monday their stock has plummeted by 28% after that. So my question to you came in with that in mind. So moved from Aspyr to Saber. What are the chances we see this game still?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I would probably say at this point 50 to 75% chance this game comes out. It almost might come down to a coin flip. If it does come out, though, with it switching developers, it honestly doesn't even matter how long this game was in development for.
Yeah.
It's easily 4 years out at this point.
Yeah.
Then the question is, at that point, how much money is going to be sunk into the game? Is it even worth releasing at this point? And, I don't know. I say if we don't hear another peep in 2 years, I would say this game's probably dead.
Yeah, I mean, it fills me with a little bit of hope because I'm really looking forward to this game, and the fact that it is now actively in a new place and not just indefinitely paused, I think brings about the possibility, at least, of it coming out. But yeah, I can't even think of a time in which there's a precedence for this. Like, I can't think of another game anywhere near as high profile, but even not, like, I just can't think of an example where development switched studios multiple years into development. Like,
I can name one.
Yeah?
It's one we'll be talking about at the end of this episode. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, you're right.
So, totally there is a hope that it will.
I was like, for a second there was like, wait, what are you talking about? But yeah.
I don't know. This just seems like a much, I mean, I guess the thing is like, they're not really recreating, or they're not like creating a brand new game in terms of like story.
Right.
So at least you can cut out some of that out.
Yeah.
That would go into it. But
that's true.
I don't know. Also going to Saber Interactive, this is not like an easy game to remake.
Right.
Even if it's got all the bones in place.
Yeah, I'm definitely still like, I'm kind of at a place where like I said, I'm filled with hope that it might come out, but like I don't know that this is going to be any good if it does. Like, I don't know. The red flags are just like getting taller.
Yeah.
Every time we talk about this game.
Yeah, I feel bad about it, but it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. That's just kind of where we are right now.
It is what it is. And it ain't what it ain't. So yeah, that's we'll keep you posted on where this goes from here, but I have a feeling we're not going to be hearing about this for a minute. I thought there was maybe a slight chance that we would have seen like some form of a trailer, like if it had already been made today at the Gamescom Opening Night Live showcase, but we didn't. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So Kamen and I, we're going to go through kind of what we think is the biggest stories, because this was a 2-hour presentation, so we simply don't have the time to go through everything that's been announced. But I think we have the time to go through some highlights. What do you say, Kamen?
Let's fucking do it.
Let's fucking do it. So, in chronological order, skipping some things, one of the first announcements was Dune Awakening, which is an open world survival MMO set in the Dune universe, the Duneverse, you might call it. They showed a cinematic trailer of one of those big, giant sand buttholes from the Duneverse. Kamen, what did you think? Did this do anything for you?
So I have a huge question.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not like a Dune guy, but I really enjoyed the movie. I thought the movie was really cool.
Yeah, me too.
And from what it seems like, the audience, the wide, vast audience that sat down and watched it, because it had banger numbers, also was huge on it.
Yeah.
And the two games coming out of this franchise are both very niche games. You have like a tactical strategy game that's coming out maybe this year. I forgot the name of it, but I think it's coming out this year, maybe next year. And then a survival MMO. Both very niche games for very distinct audience. And so my question is, like, do they just not care about expanding to a larger audience?
Yeah, that's a
Or is
great
it just
point.
like we're kind of narrow, like we're just like, hey, there's fanboys that are going to play this shit, no one else will.
I mean, it being a survival MMO, I mean, we have games like Ark, we have games like Rust. So like it's probably catering to that crowd. But yeah, it's interesting. Like another question I wanted to ask was like, do we think that like the licensed game is back? Like this isn't necessarily a movie tie-in, but I feel like we're getting a lot more of these recently. These like, because it's using the exact same font from the movie. Like it seems like it's very much going for the same movie vibe. I don't know if it's an official tie-in. They didn't necessarily say that, but
I honestly, like, I don't see why not. It's I feel like there's always an ebb and flow with how that works. And I think right now, like, it's kind of it's more of a safe bet to be like, hey, let's release something with the name of a franchise that's currently people are very excited about, because then we have a better chance it's going to sell better.
sure.
Ultimately, that's the whole part of a tie-in, is to make money.
Right.
And so maybe it's just easier to convince a studio to back that than being like, hey, back this brand new IP that you have no earthly idea about and no one knows the name of, and we don't know how it's going to do. Like, you obviously know, like, this is going to perform well enough. And even if it is just specifically for people who played those types of games, which I don't think are very, they're still niche.
Yeah.
But you might be able to drag in some people who maybe have never played a game like Ark or Rust or, The Forest, to be like, hey, come and play this game because it's got Dune in the title. I don't know. But maybe.
And John in the chat asks, is it a skin on top of another game? That actually, we don't know, because it was a fully CGI trailer, so it's hard to say. But I assume since it's an MMO, I'm sure it's going to be some sort of a game as a service. So it's probably kind of like what Kamen was leading with. Like, this is an IP that is becoming very popular. They're making the new movie already. Zendaya, Timothée Chalamet. So this seems like how can we make more money, maybe? But it might be a reskinning. We'll have to wait until we have a new trailer and some more look at the game, because that's all we got so far. But something else we did get is the new DualSense Edge wireless controller. This is basically PlayStation's version of the Xbox Elite controller with back buttons, customizable sticks. It's described as an all-new, high-performance, ultra customizable controller for PlayStation. I think, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, if I think the Xbox version of this is like 150 or $200.
Yeah, it's somewhere around that.
And like, that is simply way too expensive for me for a controller, even though it looks cool. But like, I don't think I am
$180.
I don't think I'm good enough at video games to like warrant.
No, this is very much, and it's kind of like, from a lot of people, what I've heard about for like the Elite controller, it's like all of these sync up. You can use them on your computer, right? So a lot of these controllers are specifically just for people who are playing on PC.
Interesting.
Which is cool. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like, you know, is it for me? No. Is my first controller I got on PS5 horrible with drift? Yes. Is it ever going to get fixed? Probably
Really?
not. Yeah, it's bad.
Really? I
The
haven't had
drift
that
is
before.
nasty on it.
Ugh, that's not good.
Yeah. So if they're going to replace my controller with that, sure, I'll do it.
Sure. Yeah, Mino, like you that.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
After that, we got another look at Callisto Protocol. And like it
Just
looks the
give
same.
me the fucking game.
I know, right? Like it's only coming out in a few months, but like I kind of
Oh,
maybe
it's
like
sitting there.
stop. I'm kind of
I'm
like
starting to get Death's Door. No, not Death's Door.
Deathloop.
Deathloop. I'm getting Deathloop vibes from this.
I mean,
Where it's like, stop showing me things. I just want to play the game.
if we're getting Deathloop vibes, it's gonna be my game of the year. You know what I mean?
Fair. And there's a good chance this game looks fucking
There's a good chance this will be in
incredible.
my top 3 for sure.
Just stop telling me about it
Yeah.
and just release the game.
Yeah. Really the only thing we got, which like kind of we already knew, but it showed like a death animation like a la Tomb Raider. But it's like
it's gonna be gory.
It's gonna be gory. It's gonna be
gory.
It's gonna be gory. After that, we got a little cute little indie, Moving Out 2. This is a sequel to the 2020 couch co-op hit, and it's officially in development. It's basically Overcooked, but a lot less stressful and centered around moving furniture out of a house.
It's less stressful.
That's what I hear.
Okay, have you played it?
I've not played it. That's just what I hear.
Okay.
I think the consensus is this is Overcooked if Overcooked wasn't just the most stressful fucking game.
Sydney always wants to play Overcooked with me, and I'm like, I can't. I literally, we will get pre-divorced if we play that game.
Does she want to be a pre-divorcee? I don't think so.
I don't either, so we can't play Overcooked because
I don't think
get
so.
so goddamn stressed.
Oh, John says not less stressful. Well,
okay, then guess what? I'm not playing that shit.
The internet told me it was less stressful, but
speaking of stressful, I'm gonna take over this next one if you don't mind. So General Wart's Legacy got a new story trailer. In the trailer, it showed the player being tempted to use dark magic. It has a much darker vibe than the previous trailers. And also, this is me editorializing what Patrick wrote. This game just looks worse and worse and worse every time they show more gameplay.
Did you call it General Warts?
Genital Warts.
Genital.
Legacy.
I see.
Genital Warts. Because it looks like an STD from the PlayStation 3 era.
Ooh.
Like this game doesn't like looks so
don't look
dated.
Great. It don't look great.
Oh, I was like kind of high on the idea, like because you were very critical of it. When we first got like gameplay footage of it, you were very critical of it. And I was like, no, I don't think it looks that bad. This trailer was like, wow, okay. But you know what? At the end of the day, might be great. I don't know.
Might be great, yeah. But it had that, like the facial animations had that like really round, like it seems like they maybe just need a few more months on the facial animations look. You know what I mean?
Well, it got delayed to February 3rd.
That sounds right.
Is that right? Something's coming out February 3rd.
Something's coming out February 3rd. We'll see.
Why we're doing it.
After, I think it might be at the bottom of the doc. After that, we got a new trailer, or not a new trailer, a reveal trailer for new Tales from the Borderlands. This is maybe not a sequel, but another entry in the Tales from the Borderlands series, which was originally made by OG Telltale before they died. But interestingly, this is one, I don't think I realized this. So this was announced back in April, technically, but I think we both kind of missed it. Because it was just like a headline. There was no like trailer or anything.
I think it was leaked too. It wasn't like an actual announcement. Yeah.
But it's being made directly by Gearbox. It's not being made by new Telltale anymore. Or not anymore. It never was. But interesting. And then it was presented by certified trash human Randy Pitchford.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, it looks like fucking a turd from Las Vegas. What do you think about this? What did this do for you?
I love Tales from the Borderlands.
Me too. Loved it.
This honestly looks kind of cool. I'm interested to see actual gameplay from it and see how that plays. Yeah. Like if it's gonna still work the same way as Telltale, like the Telltale games did, like how they've kind of made it their own is gonna be the interesting part to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is dope, and it comes out this year. So
yeah, coming in October. I wonder because like Telltale had their own engine. It was the walking point and click essentially like a point and click adventure with like a little bit of action. This is Gearbox. Their systems that they've built are first person shooters. Yeah. So like, I wonder, did they just build a new system for this kind of a game? Or so? I mean, I'm really interested to see. Like,
that's the exciting part. Also, Hogwarts Legacy comes out February 10th.
10th, okay.
10th. So we're close.
A week later. It was just delayed by a week in the last 5 minutes. How about that?
Oh boy.
After that, we got Dying Light 2. Showed off some new DLC that basically looked like Fight Club, the video game, which kind of makes me want to go back and play Dying Light 2. Because this DLC does look pretty cool.
Honestly, this was, when it first came out, I was like, I don't know what this is, but this looks really cool. And I want to play it. Didn't know it was tied to Dying Light 2 until the end of the trailer. It was like, oh, okay, so I guess I gotta play Dying Light 2.
It had a totally different aesthetic than the original game. Like, there's a lot of color. There were like purples, because like Dying Light 2 was a very, like the original, very like brown, very.
Honestly, you know what I thought it was? I thought it was Rage. I genuinely thought it was like Rage 3.
John said, I thought you were going to say, kind of makes me want to rejoin Fight Club.
I mean, I never left.
So that's true. That's what we were doing on Saturday. It's just a Fight Club and at the park. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that ends up panning out. Sonic Frontiers, we saw that next, giving us a November 8th release date, which coincidentally is one day before God of War Ragnarok. So rest in peace, Sonic. It was fun while it lasted.
Sucks to be that release date.
Sucks to suck, but you are dead. Other than Sonic Kid. Sonic Kid's going to be the only one playing this game on November 8th. After that, did you ever play Subnautica? Kamen, was that a game you played?
Yes and no. I dabbled a little bit in it, but never really put too much time.
Okay. Yeah, I never played it. But the developer of Subnautica Unknown Worlds is making a digital tabletop strategy game written by best-selling author Brandon Sanderson called Moonbreaker. It's basically Warhammer 40,000 and StarCraft combined. Apparently, Brandon Sanderson, a big deal.
Yeah.
According to the internet, a big deal. Finished the Wheel of Time series and the Mistborn series. Wrote the Mistborn series himself. But so interesting.
This is very different than Subnautica.
Very different than Subnautica, and like a tabletop RPG, or not tabletop RPG, a tabletop strategy game, video game from the mind of Brandon Sanderson is just, I don't know. It's weird. It's a lot of interesting vibes happening. But after that, which I'm pulling up some B-roll for, one of the weirdest trailers of the day.
This is the weirdest shit I've ever heard of.
Some of the weirdest shit I've ever heard of. So this game, it's called Lies of P. And you might be wondering, oh, what does P stand for? I'll tell you in just a second. It's a game obviously heavily inspired by Bloodborne, based on the trailer. And it's set during what looks like late 1800s Europe. It has that like very gothic vibe. And I'm not kidding when I say that it is based on the story of Pinocchio.
Is it me, or does Pinocchio in this game look like Timothée Chalamet?
Oh, definitely Timothée Chalamet vibes, for sure.
Also, quick sidebar: when he first, because Geoff Keighley was like, "Oh, and now we're going to show you an official look at Lies of P," and the first thing I thought of was the episode of the Dr. Oz show where he made the audience all pee in jars and then tried to convince everyone that you could tell how well your health was based on the smell of your urine.
Whoa,
which is a bull-faced lie.
This. Well, I mean,
complete lie. It's Dr. Oz. It's a lie. But also, what is this game?
But yeah, like this game looks rad as hell, and apparently it's based on Pinocchio and is like Bloodborne.
It's coming to Game Pass.
Oh yeah, good pull. Day one Game Pass. So I don't know that we got an official release date, but really weird. I don't know if the P actually stands for Pinocchio, but for now I'm calling it The Lies of Pinocchio. So fucking weird. After that, we got a full look at Justin Roiland's new game, High on Life. I know a game that both of us are excited for, but I know you especially are excited for it.
Yeah.
Which is also sadly just delayed to December. But this gameplay trailer finally really showed us what the combat is, like an extended look at a boss fight. And this game it looks insane.
This game looks so good.
It looks, and it somehow looks simultaneously very generic and incredibly unique at the same time. It's so bizarre. It only for the mind of Justin Roiland, that's for sure. After that, we got Telltale's The Expanse. The Expanse, he says. The Expanse came in.
I love The Expanse.
You loved The Expanse. I need to continue The Expanse. I'm still at the beginning of season 2. But this is the most we've ever seen of this game. They gave us like a look at some gameplay, pre-alpha footage. What did you think as resident Expanse aficionado?
I think this looks really cool. I'm glad Telltale's back, obviously. And especially with The Expanse, I think there's a lot of stories you can tell with that series. And this looks like it's nailing the vibe, especially from like the last couple seasons. So I definitely am digging it. I'm very excited about it. Just want a release date and knowing when I can play it. And also if it's going to be episodic or if it's going to be released in one package.
Sure. So, I'm excited. I feel like I should maybe try to finish the show before it comes out, but we'll see. So this next one came in. So we're going to take a quick little pause here.
Okay.
I was texting you while you were watching the show, and I was like, hey, when you get to The Expanse, I need you to just stop and skip a few minutes because there's a trailer that I wanted to capture Kamen's live reaction for. And so I'm going to pull this up in a second. So buckle up is all I'm going to say. Actually, before I press play, do you have any guesses about what this might be?
I have absolutely no earthly idea. I thought it was like Guardians of the Galaxy because I caught like the first like few seconds and I was like, so it's a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque.
Okay.
But outside of that, I have no fucking idea what it is, and I'm very nervous.
I can't wait. Okay. Let's hope this works. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Share. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, you can see where I'm seeing Guardians.
Oh, for sure. Definitely, we got a kid like playing some air guitar, listening to music in his room. Explosions happening outside. From the director of Friday the 13th, the game.
Okay. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. What?
They're making a Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the video game. It's a 3v7 multiplayer game. PlayStation. So yeah, walk us through what you're feeling right now.
Oh my God, Patrick. What the fuck?
Is this something you ever expected to see in your life? A Killer Clowns from Space, the video game?
No. Was it something I wanted? No. Is it something I need?
Yes.
As of right now, absolutely yes. I love Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I think Killer Clowns from Outer Space is like one of the best B horror film trash cinema classic. Just a fucking awesome. And it's kind of got a little bit of resurgence in pop culture lately. Like people are really kind of vibing with it again. What?
It's so insane. I cannot believe this is happening. Which obviously means we have to do this movie on Save Trash Cinema before the game comes out.
No, 1000%.
We should probably line it up with the release.
I'm fine with that.
Unbelievable. It looks cool.
This is pretty fucking awesome. And I'm a little nervous when you said it's a 3v7. That means that we gotta have more friends.
Yeah.
Because I don't have many friends to be able to do shit like this with. But
insane.
Damn.
Pure insanity.
All right.
But yeah, we're getting Killer Clowns from Space, the video game. I don't think they had a release date for it, but so
I don't.
I'm so glad we were able to capture that.
I don't even know what to think anymore, Patrick.
I think you needed a shot to really get back on the vibe. So okay, so last John says Birdemic the game, so you're telling me there's a chance anything is possible now.
Apparently so.
The
Got a
fact that we're getting a
Pinocchio
Killer
game?
Clowns from Outer Space, the video game, means that we could be getting a game for literally any movie ever made at this point. So yeah, tell us, what trash movie do you want made into a video game? I know for me it's Demonic Toys. After that, only a few more announcements left. Gotham Knights got another trailer, but interestingly here, they revealed that it's coming out 4 days sooner, which, like, oh, you know why? They want to get even further out of the way. They want this game to be done by God of War, because it's coming out now on October 21st, which I assume is a Tuesday. I'm assuming they moved from Friday to Tuesday. Oh no, they moved from a Tuesday to the previous Friday. Interesting. But yeah, so that's coming out October 21st now. They showed off like some villains. We saw like Harley, we saw Clayface, we saw Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze looked great.
Mr. Freeze looked dope. By the way, so I'm getting more and more excited as I see more of it. But I do think I'm at a point where, like, okay, I don't need any more. You've been showing me this game for like 4 years. I'm done. Fair. And so after this was my favorite trailer from the show. This is a game called Where Winds Meet. It's an open world game set in medieval China. Very much looks like if Ghost of Tsushima met Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yeah, the game promises a ton of player choice with the ability to join and influence different kingdoms, or you can avoid that entirely and just be a wanderer, a doctor, a merchant, and more, which I don't fully understand what that means. But Kamen, what did you think of Where the Wind Meets?
Yeah, I don't know what this game is, but it's really fucking cool.
It's really fucking cool.
It looks really dope. It looks very fluid in its like gameplay mechanics from what we've seen. I don't know. I just this game looks awesome. So I'm excited. I'm curious about more.
Apparently, I don't think they actually said this during the show, and if they did, I missed it. But apparently, as of right now, this is only coming to PC, which is a huge bummer.
Damn, that's
which, like, hopefully by then I'll have a PC. But like, I know a PC as of right now is not really in your future that you've talked about. So yeah. So I hope that this isn't like locked as a PC exclusive, because it looks really cool. But we'll see. And then after that, we got a really weird, like, Jeff Keighley's obsession with Hideo Kojima is starting to become a little strange, because they announced that Hideo Kojima is starting a podcast.
Cool. Aren't we
called Brain Structure. It's coming September 8th, whatever. You got some big podcasts to go up against with Spotlight Games and Save Our Cinema. Hideo.
Also, is it going to be in English?
They did say it's going to be released both in Japanese and English.
Interesting.
So maybe Troy Baker will play the voice of English Hideo Kojima.
Guillermo del Toro. Yeah. No, it'll be Norman Reedus.
Oh God. To close this out, a couple left. Park Beyond, a new amusement park sim that looks pretty cool. I know with how much Rose has been liking 2 Point Campus, this might be one that Rose is very excited for. I don't think she saw the trailer, but you don't do sim games, really, do you?
Yeah. Not my cup of tea.
Not your cup. And then we ended the show, Kamen, with a re-reveal of a game originally unveiled 8 years ago in 2014. Dead Island 2. They gave us a cinematic trailer. They gave us a gameplay trailer. It very much looks like Dead Island made in 2022, but in a good way, actually. Like, this game does actually look pretty cool. I was expecting it to look a lot more janky. It's set on the island of Los Angeles, I guess. It's set in LA, but it's called Dead Island, so I don't know.
Maybe you're like on an island in the land. You're quarantined into LA. I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but go off.
But apparently this game is coming in February. Maybe that's the one that's February 3rd. Because there was a February 3rd.
I want to recap just briefly, if you don't mind, the history behind this, because I think it's very interesting. So it was announced, like you said, in 2014. The game has undergone a difficult development period due to multiple changes with the studios working on it. Originally, Jaeger Development was hired to develop Dead Island 2 in 2012. So they'd already been working on it for 2 years before they announced the first trailer, which the first trailer was really cool. If you haven't seen it, go watch the original trailer.
Great trailer.
It's really funny. Yeager was then removed from the project in 2015, 3 years into development. They were then replaced by Sumo Digital the following year. Sumo Digital was then also removed, and then Dambuster, an internal studio at Deep Silver, then took over in 2019 to finish development. So they've been working on this game. So Dambuster has been working on this game for what? This is now 4 years. It'll probably be 4 years, roughly. I think they said
roughly.
So what that means, I have no fucking idea. What I will say is funny to me is Sumo Digital was the team that actually made Sackboy: Big Adventure, and Sumo has a game coming out in 2023, which is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
Oh God.
So like we said when we were talking about Knights of the Old Republic, that was like a thing that was like, has there been a situation where a studio has just been removed years in development and then replaced and the game still come out? This game's not out yet, and there also could be a chance that it never comes out.
No, we've seen too much at this point. Yeah,
this will definitely come out. You can already pre-order the game. Could it potentially be delayed? I think so. With Saints Row, and as we said, the reviews being awful, I have a feeling there's a good chance that if this game is not day one patch ready by the time it hits reviewers, then I think this game will be delayed at least a couple months.
Yeah, because the original, for those of you who weren't paying attention to games when the original came out, that one came out a mess. Like so many, honestly, a lot like Saints Row right now. But back in what 2010-ish, 11-ish.
Let me see,
something like that.
Yeah, it would have been back. I want to say it was before I was a drinking age. So yeah, it's been
a minute.
10 years. Yeah, since the first one. Which honestly, like I get why there was a lot of like surrounding the game.
Yeah,
especially because not shortly thereafter you had Dying Light came out. Dying Light was really good. But I don't know. I always had fond feelings towards Dead Island. I appreciated what they were doing. It definitely, like the first game, like the first trailer for Dead Island was like internet breaking at the time.
Yeah,
it was insane. And then the game came out and it was like, wow, this was definitely not the vibe.
Yeah, completely lied to from the trailer.
Whoa, holy shit. Like it was like the trailer was super dark and like fucked up and like really pulled your emotional strings. And then the game came out and it's like essentially a B movie.
Honestly,
they made a reference to that when they were talking about the game. They're like, yeah, we really were influenced by like B films and like old zombie movies when we made this. So like we wanted to try to encapsulate that heart. And I think that's kind of one of the issues I think people might have had with Saints Row, like this version. Because a lot of this is very B movie-esque. Maybe that's why I've been more fond to it. Like you have missions in the game where you're literally doing Fast and the Furious moves where you're carrying around like a steel cargo container behind your car and taking shit out with you. Super fun. That mission was incredibly fun. There's like a few of them you do.
Dominic Toretto.
So
you don't know me, but you're about to.
I think that's the thing is like this game is going to be very similar, I think, in structure and feel to like what Dying Light is. So for them to be successful, though, they need to lean into the goofy aspects. Like it needs to be a mix between Dead Rising and Dying Light. That's where it will succeed. If it's not, I think the game falls and it is going to tank.
You're just going to completely ignore my Jason Statham impression?
I did. You got to save that impression for when I'm on my wedding vacation, honeymoon, my wedding vacation.
Yes, John, I did just have Jason Statham on and came and completely ignored it. Jason Stanton, he says.
Jason Stanton.
Come on, that was pretty good.
Jeremy Squartard.
But so one other thing, yeah, if you've not watched the original Dead Island trailer, go watch it. It is maybe one of like the most compelling video game trailers
That is true.
ever. It's a really cool concept of a trailer. But yeah, the game was nothing like it. Like in no way, shape, or form. And they didn't tell us that before the game came out, which was interesting. But yeah, so that was Gamescom. I mean, I think it was a pretty solid show. Like I don't think this is going to go down as one of the best showcases we've ever seen, but I think for a 2-hour presentation, there was more than an hour of interesting stuff in there. Like it was more than half of it was worth
They
watching.
were also giving awards and stuff out as well through it, and then they were doing like interviews and things. So it wasn't just like 2 hours of just nothing but here are games coming.
Right.
Like it was literally like I would probably say like an hour and 20 minutes to like 40 minutes of other shit. But I think this was way more entertaining than Xbox's showcase.
Oh yeah, like by a quarter mile at the very least.
Yeah.
You don't know me, but you're about to.
Okay, that was good.
Damn. All right,
Patrick, I'm gonna take us home with some updates to the 2022 calendar. So like we said before, High on Life has been delayed to December 13th. Death Stranding is coming to Xbox and PC Game Pass this week. It is worth pointing out that this is just the standard Death Stranding, not the director's cut. No news as to whether or not that will come to Xbox at any point, or if it will remain as a PlayStation PC exclusive. But as of right now, no, this is just the standard game is coming to Xbox PC Game Pass. Then Plaguebringer is a new demon class coming to Evil Dead the game this September alongside Mia from the Evil Dead reboot from 2016. She will be a playable hero that you can play as. So I'm personally very excited about this. Probably no one else in the world is, but I am. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is reportedly coming March of 2023, which that I think that makes sense.
Agreed.
A new expansion for Destiny 2, Lightfall, is coming February of next year. Honestly, looks really cool. Like I was really digging the what we saw from this reveal today. And then lastly, PlayStation VR 2 is coming early 2023, according to PlayStation's Twitter. And I also think that checks too. Well, I mean, I don't think PlayStation would have announced that if they were planning to do it, but it does make sense ultimately because they've announced all these games coming in like March, I think. What was it, like Resident Evil 4 will be getting, or Resident Evil 8 will be getting VR mode, and then Resident Evil 4 remake will be getting VR mode as well.
I don't know if 4 remake. Well, it not at launch, but yes, they are.
Yeah, but either way, this is all like coming out in March, so it makes sense that this is probably like early 2023. I have a feeling that launch for this is probably going to be end of February or March, most likely is when this is coming.
John in the chat says, "Are y'all not talking about the Dragon game? Which Dragon game?
Are you talking about Dragon Ball Z coming to Fortnite, John? Is that what we're talking about, dog?
Which, I mean, Kamen.
I don't think we covered. Did we cover that last week?
We didn't actually. Dragon D's nuts. We walked right into that.
Wow. Fuck you, John. All right, John got it. John got us. Okay.
Wow, we got straight got by that.
It's now his podcast.
Yeah.
It's now his podcast.
I'll give you the logins next Tuesday at 8 p.m. It's your show now, John. I cannot believe it. I walked right into that.
Good luck censoring all of the things I say that Patrick does out of our episodes. So
I don't know that a single word you say this week's going to make it in.
I would probably
it'll just be me talking to air.
It just, especially that Saints Row review. We're like, we have just alienated ourselves from every other person who reviewed this game outside of Game Informer and maybe NPR.
Maybe. That's our show. Let us know of the Gamescom announcements. What game are you most excited for? Is it the Dragon game that John is so excited to play? That son of a bitch. But yeah, let us know. As always, this is a Spotlight Games podcast every Tuesday on twitch.tv/SpotlightGamesPod. You can get it live. You can be in the chat like John, that son of a bitch. Or you can get it Thursday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Spotlight Games, or on your favorite podcast app. Search for Spotlight Games there. Give us a subscribe so that you get a new episode when it's live. Kamen, I I thank you for coming along this ride as you do every week.
Thank you for letting me scream for like 15 straight minutes. It
Hey.
might have even been longer than that, honestly.
Hey, it's my God-given right to just let you scream.
Thank you. I love you. I'm going to go play some more Saints Row.
And remember, guys, my mouth is broken.